There is a woman I heard about once, and I think about her more than I probably should. She spent 40 years taking care of everyone around her. Her children, her aging parents, her friends when they called at midnight, her neighbors, her co-workers, strangers at the grocery store who looked like they needed a little extra warmth. She was the person everyone turned to, the one who always showed up, the one who always knew what to say. And one morning, just an ordinary Tuesday morning, she sat down at her kitchen table with a cup of tea, and she realized something that stopped her completely. She had not said one kind thing to herself in as long as she could remember. Not one. Every single drop of tenderness she had, every ounce of patience, every generous thought, every soft landing she'd ever offered, she had given it all away, to everyone, except herself. She sat there with her tea going cold, and she thought, who takes care of the person who takes care of everyone else? And the answer that came back was very quiet. Nobody, not even her. Now, I share this story because I suspect something about it landed somewhere in your chest just now, maybe gently, maybe harder than you expected, because so many of us, and I mean so many, are living this exact life. We have perfected the art of being endlessly kind to the people around us, while being absolutely relentless and harsh with ourselves. We encourage our friends when they fail. We tell our children that mistakes are how we learn. We bring soup to our sick neighbors. We hold space for people we barely know. And then we turn inward, and we are brutal. We replay our mistakes at 3 in the morning. We catalog our flaws like we're preparing a case against ourselves. We apologize for taking up space. We shrink, we push down, we carry on, and we call this strength. But here's the thing I want to sit with you on today, and I want you to really hear this because it changed everything for me when I first understood it. That is not strength. That is a very old wound pretending to be a virtue. And today we are going to look at it together, gently, with curiosity, with no judgment at all, because you deserve the same quality of kindness you have been giving away your whole life. So let's begin. You know, I've been teaching and practicing and stumbling around on this path for a long time now. And one of the things that never stops surprising me, never, is how universal this particular struggle is. It doesn't matter where someone grew up, what their life looks like on the outside, how wise or educated or spiritually sophisticated they are. Almost everyone I have ever met carries this same quiet bruise, the bruise of being their own harshest critic. And what makes it so tricky, what makes it so sneaky, is that it doesn't always announce itself as cruelty. Sometimes it arrives dressed up as responsibility, as high standards, as humility, as just being honest with myself. It sounds like I should be further along by now. I should have known better. I shouldn't need this much time to heal. Why can't I just get it together? Those voices. You know those voices, don't you? Most of us have been listening to them for so long that we've forgotten they're even there. They've become the background noise of our inner life. Like the hum of an air conditioner, you stop noticing it until someone turns it off, and suddenly you realize how loud it was, how much it was always there, right beneath everything. So before we go any further, I just want to ask you to do one small thing. Just notice, right now, in this moment, is there a voice inside you that is waiting to find fault? Is there some part of you that is already deciding whether what you're hearing is worth your time or whether you deserve to hear it at all? Is there a part of you that is braced already for disappointment? You don't need to fix that voice. You don't need to argue with it or shut it down. Just notice it. Say hello to it even. That voice has been working very hard for a very long time. It doesn't need to be fought. It needs to be understood. And that noticing, that gentle, curious noticing, that is actually where everything begins. There's a teaching I return to again and again, and it comes from an unexpected place. It comes from the experience of groundlessness, that feeling when everything you were counting on has shifted, when the rug gets pulled out, when the story you were telling about your life, about who you are, about how things were going to go, suddenly doesn't hold anymore. Most of us spend an enormous amount of energy trying to avoid that feeling. We build structures and routines and relationships and beliefs specifically to keep that feeling at bay, because groundlessness is terrifying. It feels like falling. It feels like there is nothing solid beneath your feet. But here's what I've come to understand, and this took me a long time. I want to be honest about that. Groundlessness is not the problem. Our frantic scrambling to escape it is the problem, because the moment we stop running, the moment we actually turn around and face that open, unsteady, uncomfortable feeling, something extraordinary happens. We discover that we are still here, that the ground we were so desperate to find was never actually outside us. It was this breath, this moment, this soft, impermanent, wildly uncertain now. And that is where self-compassion lives, not in having everything figured out, not in being strong enough to never need help, not in achieving some final polished version of yourself that is finally worthy of kindness. Self-compassion lives right here, in the mess and the confusion and the not knowing. Right here. Now, I want to talk about something that might feel a little uncomfortable at first, and I say that because it felt uncomfortable to me too, when I first really sat with it. We often confuse self-focus with selfishness. We've been taught, many of us from very early in our lives, that putting yourself first is a kind of moral failure, that good people are selfless, that if you need too much, if you take up too much space, if you direct too much attention inward, you are somehow failing at the project of being a good human being. And so we outsource our care. We become endlessly available to everyone else as a way of never having to sit with our own pain. We stay busy, we stay useful, we keep the focus outward because inward feels dangerous, or indulgent, or just too much. But here's what this costs us. When we are running on empty, when we have given and given and given with no replenishment, no gentleness toward ourselves, no space to simply be, we don't actually have anything real left to give. What we end up offering people is performance. The shape of care without the substance of it, the words without the presence behind them, and we feel it. Even when no one else can see it, we feel it. That hollow quality, that going through the motions feeling, that creeping sense of resentment that we immediately feel guilty for having, which makes us push harder to prove we're still good, which empties us further, which breeds more resentment, which, you see how that works, don't you? This is not a moral failing. This is just what happens when a human being forgets that they are also a human being, with needs and limits and a heart that requires tending. Focusing only on yourself doesn't mean ignoring others. It doesn't mean becoming cold or withdrawn or indifferent to the world. It means something far more radical than that. It means becoming the kind of person who can actually be present, who shows up with something real, who offers warmth from a place of genuine fullness rather than desperate, exhausted obligation. The Buddhist teacher Shantideva said something that I have carried in my pocket for years. He said, if you put your shoe on the whole world, you protect your feet from thorns. But if you simply put shoes on your own feet, the effect is the same. You cannot change the whole world to make it gentle enough for you, but you can tend to yourself. You can be that shelter, and you begin quietly, without fanfare, by turning your attention inward, not with the goal of fixing anything, just with the simple intention of being present to your own experience the way you would be present to someone you love. Let me tell you about something called Maitri. Maitri is a Sanskrit word, and it is usually translated as loving kindness or unconditional friendliness. And when we talk about Maitri in the context of practice, we usually start with the self. Because, and this is the uncomfortable part, we cannot offer something we haven't got. We cannot extend genuine compassion outward if we have not first allowed it to land somewhere inside us. And most of us, I say this with great tenderness, most of us have never truly received our own kindness. We have practiced loving kindness toward others, maybe. We have extended warmth to people we care about. and sometimes even to strangers, and sometimes with enormous effort toward people who have hurt us, but we have largely exempted ourselves from that circle of care. So Maitri toward yourself starts with something almost embarrassingly simple. It starts with noticing when you're suffering, not analyzing it, not explaining it, not deciding whether you're suffering enough to warrant care, just noticing, oh, this hurts, this is hard, I'm struggling right now. And then, and this is the revolutionary part, responding to that suffering the way you would respond to a dear friend who came to you in the same condition, with warmth, without judgment, without immediately trying to fix or minimize or explain away what is happening. Just, I see you, this is hard, I'm here. I know this sounds almost too simple. I know the voice in your head might be saying, that can't possibly be enough, or I don't have time for that, or I don't even know where to start. That voice is allowed to say those things. Let it say them. And then, gently, without making a big drama of it, begin anyway. The first practice I want to offer you is what I call the pause practice. And it is exactly what it sounds like. Several times throughout your day, when you remember, just pause, it doesn't need to be long, even 10 seconds. Just stop, take one breath, and ask yourself, how am I doing right now? Not how should I be doing, not how am I doing compared to yesterday or compared to what I expected of myself. Just right now, in this moment, what is actually here? Sometimes the answer will be fine, and that's good. Enjoy fine. Sometimes the answer will be tired or anxious or sad in a way you can't quite name, or buzzing with a low-grade irritability that you've been ignoring for days. And when that is the answer, when you find something uncomfortable waiting there, the practice is not to push it away or talk yourself out of it. The practice is to simply acknowledge it. You could even say it out loud very quietly. I'm tired. I'm anxious. I'm carrying a lot right now. There is something almost miraculous that happens when we stop fighting our own experience, when we stop trying to be other than we are, even for 10 seconds. The tension, not all of it, but some of it, just releases because we're no longer at war with ourselves. We're just here, present, honest. That's the pause practice. 10 seconds, several times a day. Revolutionary. The second practice is what I think of as reparenting your inner critic. Now that voice we talked about earlier, the harsh, critical, fault-finding voice, it didn't arrive from nowhere. For most of us it was learned, it was absorbed from someone or somewhere in our early life, a parent who had high standards, a teacher who used shame as a tool, a culture that valued performance over presence, a family where love felt conditional, and the child that we were desperately wanting to belong, desperately wanting to be loved and approved of, internalized that voice and made it our own, because at the time that was the wisest thing we could do. That critical voice was trying to keep us safe, trying to keep us acceptable, trying to make sure we were never caught off guard by our own failures. It was doing its best, in other words. But you are not that child anymore. You are an adult. And you get to decide consciously, deliberately, with great patience and no small amount of humor, what voice you want running the show inside your own mind. So when the inner critic arrives, and it will arrive because it is very dedicated, try this. Don't argue with it. Don't try to prove it wrong. Just notice that it's there and then gently ask, is there another way to say this? If the voice says, you should have done better, try. You did what you could with what you had. If it says, you're falling apart, try, you're having a hard time and that's okay. If it says, nobody else would struggle with this, try, struggling means you're human. You are not denying the difficulty. You are not bypassing the truth. You are simply changing the tone, and tone changes everything. You would never speak to a grieving friend the way your inner critic speaks to you. So begin slowly, imperfectly, beginning again every time you forget, to speak to yourself the way you would speak to someone you genuinely love. The third practice is what I call staying with the weather. There is a teaching I love very much, and it goes like this. You are the sky. Everything else, every thought, every emotion, every sensation, every mood is weather. The weather changes. It is always changing. There are storms and there are clear days and there are the strange in-between days when the sky can't quite decide what it wants to be. And the weather, all of it, passes. None of it stays forever, even when it feels like it will. But the sky remains through all of it. You are the sky. And the practice of staying with the weather is simply this. When a difficult emotion arrives, fear, sadness, shame, loneliness, grief, instead of immediately trying to make it stop, try sitting with it. Just for a moment, just long enough to notice what it actually feels like in your body. Where is the anxiety living? Is it in your chest, your stomach, your throat? What does it feel like, actually? Is it tight, buzzing, heavy, cold? You don't need to make it go away. You don't need to understand why it's there. You just, with a quality of gentleness, the way you'd rest your hand on the shoulder of someone who is hurting, you just let it be there. And here's what you'll discover over time. With practice, the emotion wants to be felt. That's all it wants. It's not trying to destroy you. It's not a sign that something is permanently wrong. It's weather. It moves through when you stop building walls to keep it out. This is what it means to welcome the unwelcome. Not to celebrate it, not to want it, not to pretend it's something other than what it is. Just to stop treating your own inner experience like the enemy. The fourth practice is possibly the simplest and also, in my experience, the most deeply transformative. I call it the kindness sentence. Once a day, just once, I want you to say something kind to yourself. Out loud if you can, in the mirror if you're feeling brave, in your mind if that's where you need to start. Not a compliment about how you look or what you've achieved, something warmer than that. Something more fundamental, something that speaks to your basic worthiness as a being. May I be kind to myself today. May I give myself the care that I freely give to others. I am doing my best, and my best is enough. Whatever words feel true to you, and they don't need to be perfectly poetic, just let yourself receive them. Don't rush past them. Let them land. Most of us have spent so long offering kindness outward that we've lost the practice of receiving it. And the first, most important place to rebuild that capacity is with yourself. Because if you can't receive kindness from yourself, the person who is always with you, who knows you most intimately, who will be there for every moment of your life, then it is very difficult to receive it from anyone else either. Let yourself be kind to yourself. That's the whole practice. That's all of it. Now I want to come back to that image, staying silent, focusing only on yourself. Because I know that for some people those words carry a kind of guilt, a worry that turning inward means tuning out, that focusing on yourself means forgetting about others. So I want to be very clear about what this teaching is actually saying. Silence here means something specific. It means stepping back from the constant noise of other people's opinions, other people's expectations, other people's definitions of who you should be and how you should live and what you should value and what you should achieve by now. It means stepping back from the relentless comparison, am I doing enough, am I enough, am I as far along as I should be, that consumes so much of our mental and emotional energy. It means creating enough quiet inside yourself that you can actually hear your own voice again. Because here's what happens when we lose that inner quiet. And so many of us have lost it for years, sometimes for decades. We start making decisions based on other people's fear. We start living according to a script we didn't write. We start measuring our worth by metrics that have nothing to do with who we actually are. And slowly, without even noticing it happening, we become strangers to ourselves. Focusing only on yourself is the act of coming home. Turning toward your own experience with curiosity and care, asking honestly and without judgment, what do I actually need? What do I actually feel? What do I actually want? Not what should I feel? Not what am I supposed to want? Not what would look good from the outside. What is actually true for me? right now, that kind of self-focus is not selfishness. That kind of self-focus is the foundation of everything. It is the ground from which genuine connection, genuine generosity, genuine love can actually grow. And the silence I'm pointing to, it's not about withdrawal. It's not about building walls. It's about creating enough stillness inside that you stop confusing everyone else's noise for your own truth. You know, there is something that happens on this path when we begin to practice self-compassion, when we begin to turn toward ourselves with more tenderness that no one always warns you about. Things get a little louder before they get quieter. Because all those feelings you've been keeping at bay with busyness and self-criticism and the endless focus outward, they've been waiting. And when you create a little space, when you put down the armor even slightly, they come up to be felt. Old grief, maybe, loneliness you didn't know was there, a bone-deep tiredness that has been hiding beneath all the productivity, anger sometimes at how long you have gone without this basic kindness. And when that happens, and it may happen, I want you to know that is not a sign you are doing it wrong. That is a sign you are doing it right. The discomfort you feel when you start to let yourself matter is not a warning. It is a doorway. Go through it anyway, gently, at your own pace, with great patience for yourself. And know this, you will not be swept away. The feelings are large sometimes, but you are larger. You are the sky, remember? And sky holds everything, every storm, every cloud, every difficult weather system, without ceasing to be sky. You can hold this too. I want to tell you something I believe with my whole heart. You deserve the same quality of attention, care, warmth, and patience that you have been extending to other people your whole life. Not because you've earned it, not because you've finally gotten good enough or healed enough or achieved enough, not because you've convinced some inner tribunal that your suffering qualifies. You deserve it because you are here, because you are alive, because being a human being in this impermanent, uncertain, achingly beautiful and difficult world, that is enough. That has always been enough. The part of you that says, but first I need to fix this about myself, or I'll be worthy of gentleness once I've sorted this out, that part is operating from an old, exhausted story, a story that was never true. You don't have to earn kindness from yourself. You just have to give it. And you can begin right now, not someday, not when things are better, not when you feel more deserving. Right now, in this exact moment, exactly as you are. Take a breath, just one, and offer yourself, quietly and without ceremony, the simplest gift there is. The gift of your own presence, your own warmth, your own understanding, your own patient, non-judgmental attention. You've been giving that away for a long time, and it hasn't run out. It never runs out. But it needs to flow in every direction, including toward the one person who has been with you through every single moment of your life. You, this is where it starts, not with grand gestures or perfect practice or a completely transformed inner life. It starts here, with the smallest, quietest turning toward yourself, with one moment of genuine kindness pointed in the one direction it has been missing, inward. And if you forget, when you forget, because you will, because we all do, because that is how this works, you begin again, without drama, without self-punishment, without the inner critic getting a single say in the matter. You just begin again with gentleness, with patience, with a little of that warm, slightly tired humor that comes from being a human being who is doing their very honest best. That's the whole practice. That's all of it. You are worth your own love. Let that settle for a moment if you need it to. You are worth your own love. And if something in this found its way to you today, if some part of it landed in a place that needed to be reached, I hope you'll stay with it. Turn it over, let it do what it needs to do. And if you'd like to keep exploring these teachings, these quiet, gentle, practical ways of coming home to yourself, we'd love to have you here. Subscribe, leave a comment if something moved you. Tell us where you are on this path. because this community, every single person who finds their way here, they are all, in their own way, learning the same thing, that the kindness we so easily give away belongs to us too. Take good care of yourself. Until next time.